That horse is OP. Oh, new tier zoo, boys. New tier zoo, bro. Let's go. Oh, he's gonna kick him and he's gonna fly like him out. What the?
Players have a wide selection of equipment to choose from when speccing their character. Teeth, claws, stingers, spikes.
Legs.
Each weapon has distinct advantages and disadvantages in combat. Herbivore players tend to favor highly intimidating equipment like horns and antlers. In the African meta, things are taken to the extreme, with builds like the elephant, rhino, and Cape buffalo rocking some of the most threatening tusks and horns in the entire game. So you might be surprised to learn that one of the most successful builds in the African savannah is the zebra, a build with no obvious weaponry to speak of. So what is it about the zebra build that has granted it such a dominant position in the savannah? We'll answer that question and many more in today's video.
Wait, is a zebra just a horse? No, shut up, bro. Wait, what the? Wait, a zebra is just...
Equine faction, including Zoom Out a Bit and sponsored by CuriosityStream.
Oh shit, I wanted to skip it. But
to answer that question, let's zoom out a bit and discuss the incredible stats and abilities of the entire Equine faction, including zebras, horses, and donkeys.
Wait, a donkey? Wait, a donkey can have sex the horse, and then you can get like a half horse, half donkey, right?
Let's begin with their stats. Right off the bat, it's plain to see that this is a highly mobility-centric build.
Bro, I always kept horses and zebras separate. I never really thought of them as the same thing, but obviously they like are basically the same thing, right? Obviously they are basically the same thing.
With an above-average power stat to back it up. With slightly above-average intelligence and fairly poor defense, HP, and stealth stats. At first glance, you might think that these stats belong to a rush-down predator, something like a wolf or eagle. Something that can overwhelm its target with speed and power, and either finish the attack before the defender has a chance to counterattack, or weave in and out of the defender's effective range,
like what niche is a zebra?
Or tiring it out. Clearly, stats don't tell the whole story here, as all equines are
Is it because they got good guts? Is it because they have big guts to digest grasses? That's what it's going to be, right? They're OP because they can run and survive, and then they have like crazy guts which can get energy from like sources that other animals aren't utilizing. Surely. I mean, what else has a zebra got? What else has a zebra got, dude? No, so chat, what are you going to say is, the reason an animal exists always is because there's a niche. This is a niche. They have like some fucked beak, they can get a particular plant that other things don't get. They got like some fucking immunity to certain things and they can eat those things. They like an apex predator, they can hunt other, you know, fucking things because they exist. Okay, so I'm trying to think, why does a zebra exist? It's got to be, they got some OP gut, right? It's got to be OP gut. It's got to be that. It's like kind of like pandas. How pandas can eat fucking bamboo, and then they get all their calories from bamboo. It's gonna be like that, right?
Herbivores. So let's delve a little deeper into the abilities and strategies that horses and all their variants utilize to survive. Seeing as their highest stat is mobility, it's no surprise that an equine player's best defense against a predator player's attack is to run away.
Yeah, now we got
While not technically as fast as the max speed of a top-tier predator, horse builds are able to maintain high speeds for much longer, and because of this, builds like the big cat or bear have little chance of catching them without an extremely stealthy ambush. The horse's specialized hooves grant them a bonus to burst movement speed and allow them to ignore the movement penalties of rocky terrain. The likelihood of a successful ambush is driven even lower due to the horse's solid intelligence stat, which allows it to engage in herd behaviors, such as individuals keeping watch to alert vulnerable teammates of approaching enemies.
Can I really fucking bear him?
Shifts keeping watch is really important in a party of horse players, because horses need to spend massive amounts of time grazing. See, horses did not spec into the ruminant perk, which means they can't extract nearly as much energy from grass as builds like sheep and cows can. This was an intentional trade-off to keep the build much more lean and agile than ruminants, enabling them to dash quickly and jump great distances. But because
so they're like OP mobility then. So they're just like, so they have insane mobility. Not wrong. Okay, dude, they're still eating grass, cunts.
Time they need to spend feeding with their heads down is around double that of an equivalent-sized ruminant. There's no way.
So they're literally, so they literally have to spam eat. They literally spam eat. So their niche is spam eating grass.
They'd be able to avoid an ambush alone. If they do get attacked, the chase begins, and this is where one of the horse's other core abilities comes into play.
If there was finite grass and you had to have efficient, you know, get you like more calories out of the same amount of food, then they would do poorly, right? So clearly there's an abundance of grass.
Sweating. Now I do need to address an inaccuracy I made in a previous video, my most viewed video to date, Are humans OP? Where I say the ability to sweat is uniquely human. This isn't entirely accurate. Horses also have the ability to sweat in order to dissipate heat. However, they're nowhere near as efficient at cooling down via sweating as humans are. For one main reason,
I know, sweaty horse.
Sweat doesn't evaporate off of a horse's body as easily as it does a human, because sweat gets trapped in the hair on a horse's body.
They're gonna get
as such,
musky.
Humans still absolutely crush horses in terms of thermoregulation during distance running. But sweating is still an extremely powerful ability that massively reduces a player's loss of stamina during a run, and thereby greatly increases the potential distance a player can travel. Anyways, if during a chase, the horse player finds itself somehow unable to completely avoid an attack, that's when the other signature equine ability comes into play, their kick. Now,
fucking geese, dude. Jesus, they're so stupid.
In relation to more typical combat moves, like biting, swiping, and stinging, kicking is generally seen as a rather janky attack style, mostly used as either a desperate combo breaker attempt, or the best option available to builds which haven't spec'd their characters to allow for better combat moves. Generally speaking, kicks don't deal that much damage. They're fairly telegraphed and easy to dodge, and they can even throw the user off balance if they miss.
I've seen this on Twitter.
However, if we take a look at the horse's kick, we see an entirely different picture. The horse's kick hits with a force of around 2,000 psi, putting it well above the power of a jaguar bite, and just a bit below the power of a crocodile bite. Both of those builds are top tier specifically because of their incredible bite damage, so having a kick of roughly equivalent power is extremely useful. However, plenty of large builds have no issue dealing damage. Moose, elk, wildebeest, and other large ungulate builds can threaten insane damage if they connect with a charging slam. However, attacks like that are incredibly telegraphed, and most players have a decent amount of practice dodging them. In contrast, a horse's kick has incredible frame data, to the point where it's basically unreactable if you're within range, which I should add can be deceptively far. This makes approaching a defending equine...
You're just knocking out, bro, like giving them brain damage, dude. Rip. Bro, my dog Mitzi got kicked by a fucking horse, and somehow Mitzi survived.
A lot more risky than most herbivore builds. However, the horse's kick has synergies that increase its utility far beyond what can be explained by its base damage and frame data. When it comes to defending...
Yeah, well, the dog's dead now, Chan. The dog's dead. But, you know, Mitzi got kicked by a horse. It was famous. Mitzi would constantly go up to their legs and, like, fuck with the horses. And just... And Mitzi would just keep dodging the horse. A little King Charles Cocker Spaniel. One day, Mitzi didn't dodge and got hit. And yeah, I was like, I seen Mitzi fucking like limping over, bro. Like, what the fuck's happening? And yeah, after that, Mitzi never fucked with the horses again.
Themselves from attacking carnivore players. Equine builds are at a huge advantage. Let me explain. So, most herbivore builds have only two options when confronted with an adversary: fight or flight. Carnivore players know this, and tailor their strategies to take advantage of the defending player's limited options. When wolves hunt large prey, like elk, their main advantage is to break the defending player's nerve and frighten it into fleeing. They will not commit to an attack if the defending player chooses to stand and fight. However, they will continue to pressure it with bluff charges and fake-outs, hoping to bait out a defensive attack. However, as mentioned before, these counterattacks are slow enough to be dodged on reaction, quickly lowering the elk's morale, especially as the rest of its herd likely gets further and further away. It's only after a prey animal starts fleeing that these predators will actually try to deal damage by attacking the hindquarters to inflict heavy bleed buildup. In order to stop these attacks, most herbivores will once again stop and turn to face their attackers, which just resets the situation back to the first phase. Horses, zebras, and donkeys can completely thwart this plan of attack, as their kick grants them an extremely valuable option: the ability to counterattack while fleeing, since they don't need to stop and face.
Because the #1 rule, chat, was never go behind horses. This is literally like people. Do you know people die to horses? Do you know people die? Like some girl died in Wanganui to a horse kick. And it was like you just never go behind horses. They never go behind horses.
Attackers in order to deal damage.
Because sometimes they just spurg out. Like our horses, like with train and shit, but like sometimes they just spurg out and they just fucking kick, dude, for no reason. They just like fucking randomly kick.
And because their kicks are harder to dodge than horn charges, zebras have one of the highest KD ratios against lions and hunting dogs in the game. While it might not be as impressive and showy as having huge horns or antlers, there's no denying that this strategy is extremely effective at warding off attacks and escaping danger. On top of all the other benefits, kicking
zebra
also allows the equine player to keep its vitals well out of reach and isn't exposing itself to a critical hit counterattack like some horn users do when they attack. It does have its limitations though. Kicking backwards requires specific positioning, which, unless your character has 360-degree vision, will make your attacks less accurate. And on the odd chance that your opponent does get in front of you and land a grab before you're able to turn away, your options to fight back will be fairly limited, and nowhere near as powerful. Now, I do want to mention that unlike many ruminant herbivores, which only have lower teeth, equine players do possess a full set of upper and lower teeth that are able to deliver quite powerful bites. So they aren't completely helpless when facing an enemy head-on. But nonetheless, the unidirectional nature of their strongest attack option does mean that some counterplay is available. Next, let's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the different variants of the equine build. We'll start with the horse, the most well-known of the bunch. Horses undoubtedly have the best base stats of the—
I mean, that can't survive on a normal diet, right? Like that only exist. I mean, how can he get that much muscle and mass? Like, I mean, how much grass would he need a day? Like, he must need, that guy's on roids or something, right? Like, surely. They must be feeding him grains and shit.
With higher power and more HP being the most obvious things that scale with size. They've also got the fastest top speed. However, perhaps even more importantly, the horse's higher intelligence stat enables cross-species team strategies, which can lead to some incredibly broken combos. Zebras have a slightly lower base stat total, although this change isn't really enough to affect their playstyle. They're still perfectly capable of escaping attacks using their speed and endurance, and punishing overly aggressive enemies with a devastating kick. In addition to all this though, the zebra's unique stripe pattern grants it a few extra bonus perks. Because this pattern helps break up their outline and obscure their position, especially when grouped up, attacks against zebras incur a slight accuracy penalty. Surprisingly, this debuff even applies to insects, resulting in zebras taking significantly less damage from parasites than other similarly—
What? Wait, what the fuck? Wait, what the fuck? When I see a zebra first when I look at a fucking I look like, you know, I see a zebra first when I always feel like I'm less likely to see a lion and more likely to see a zebra. But
sized builds. In exchange though, the zebra's intelligence stat is a fair bit lower, to the point where zebras are unable to engage in the same team combos. He
pops out of the environment. Where's the lion?
Donkeys are a bit of an outlier group, with the lowest power stat of the group. They have the highest intelligence stat, but tend to actually prefer solo play.
Wow, really? Wait, donkeys have more int than the horses? Why the fuck do they sit there going for like 2 hours a day then? Like, what the fuck? They got fucking high int.
They can be trained to become a useful party member, but they aren't naturally suited to this style of gameplay. And although they're quite capable of dishing out serious damage with their kicks, donkey mains also tend to favor the bite move in combat, a somewhat poorly optimized build in my opinion. It's no surprise that despite horses and zebras having quite solid matchups against—
Bro, I can't even— that's a donkey, right? But like, it looks so much like a horse. Like, what is even different on the donkey? Is it just the ears? Like,
canid and felid opponents, donkeys end up experiencing a fair bit of difficulty, in part due to their smaller size, but also because maybe they just don't realize the potential power of a well-placed kick. Of the three main equine classes, it's a tough call which one I think is the most viable. I think they're definitely all at least high B tier. Personally, I do think horses take the top spot, and I'd even give them the rank of low A tier. See, despite being originally from the North American server, horses have successfully established invasive populations all across the overworld.
We have to cull horses in New Zealand
that even zebras have difficulty surviving in. This is the premise for the incredible documentary
like crazy,
Stallions of the Namib Desert, which chronicles the descendants—
Yeah, they have to go around shooting all the horses because they fuck everything up. They just go around, they go basically once a year, everyone gets up and they just fucking, they try and capture a bunch of them and then they just shoot a bunch of them. They just go and shoot, they just fuck, because it's like just massive fucking herds of horses. Yeah, let's stop shooting at horses. Yeah, it's a thing.
Of a small group of horses abandoned by World War I soldiers a century ago. This documentary is available to watch right now on CuriosityStream, the sponsor of today's video.
Oh, there we go.
CuriosityStream is an amazing subscription streaming service with thousands of high-quality—
good video, guys. Let me link this to you guys. Hey, guys. Hey, look at this. Very poggies. Very poggies video.
Because he is God Gamer. God Gamer. God